Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about fear and can fear be used in some way as energy? I talked before about this thing that's I feel is running in the background. It can um, manipulate things in what we consider to be our current reality, things we see around us, uh, circumstances, um, that can't really be explained by the powers of regular people, like ability to manipulate things in such a way that you know you couldn't just do it from manpower, so to say. you know um but it as it relates also to like history. And I've been watching some videos about and I'll talk about it in the future also about about history and the narrative surrounding all these old buildings and these uh, old downtown areas, and how they they're not they're a lot older than a lot of these buildings are a lot older than we're told they are. um, and it's interesting, and I'm into it also. I visit places and I look at these buildings, um, and a lot of these things that people say about them in these videos is true in terms of these buildings. You look at them, they're not what they say. A lot of them apparently are a lot older than that we're told they are. But in the end of the day, it can be fascinating in terms of asking questions and questioning um, the history that we're told. These things can be fascinating. They can be entertaining. They can be eye opening for people. But in the end of the day, to me, those things, they're not surprising because in my own life, I've seen and heard so many things that are just so outrageous on its face, and things that were taught, and things that I think that are used to propagate fear in the general public. Because if people believe them, um, and they're in a state of fear consistently, I wonder if this thing that's running can derive um, energy from this fear, from the consciousness of the general population. And examples of these things over time, I mean, they begin. I mean, before my time, my parents told me about these. During the Cold War, they would have drills when they were in elementary school. They'd have a drill when you would hear a maybe a particular siren wail or certain type of bell go off, and they'd have to go and duck and cover. They'd have to go and basically crouch underneath of the desks. I mean, as if, I mean, first of all, like that, if there was some type of attack where there were, you know, large ordinances, let's say, um, if they struck a building and they're as large as a lot of these bombs that were dropped on places during even World War II, you ducking underneath your desk, you're not it's not gonna protect you from anything, right? If some ordinance goes off above a classroom, everyone in there is gonna get smashed, right? Crushed. Ducking under a desk is not gonna do anything. So what does the ducking under the desk do, right? Um, it promotes fear, in people, as far as like this could happen, right? We're doing a drill because this could happen and this could save your life. But really, is it more just to put in a person's conscious mind, even not even subconscious, but their conscious mind, and hey, look, we can get bombed at any second, and there's this enemy out there that's willing to just wipe you out at a moment's notice for no reason whatsoever. That's anything that you've done, right? And so going off of that, going forward from my own personal experience, I remember telling my parents when I can't remember what age I was pretty young. Maybe 10, 11 years old, telling my parents that, I was terrified. I couldn't sleep, because I was made aware of um, nuclear, right? Nuclear, the big thing about like, they had this the day after TV show, about nuclear holocaust and nuclear winter. And, um, one night I was telling my parents, I can't sleep. I'm afraid, because, we could have this nuclear, you know, war and everybody's gonna perish. And, you know, and, they would tell me, well, you can't control it. So, no sense worry about it. Right. And again, that whole thing the day after, the whole Cold War, um, that was, pushed forth in the media, it's like, again, just feared, right? For, oh my gosh, in popular culture all over, movies, Top Gun, um, I believe in Prince's song 1999. I think he just says something about like everybody's got a bomb. We could all die any day, and all these, every sphere, movies, music, um, television was showing at that point in time like life is tenuous. And um, because of the Cold War, and you never know at a certain point, someone just pushes that button, and then it's all over, right? And like I said before, I mean, we don't know our time and day, that that our own personal experience here, our journey is going to end. And I'm not worried about it. I'm not ready to jump myself off a bridge or anything, but I'm not worried about the time and date of when it's over. Um, but even still, like recognizing too that there's no sense to live in fear, because, like I said, these things, I think they're patently absurd on its face. I mean, nuclear weapons. I mean, there's no practical example of them even existing anywhere. Um, all we have are silly videos of, you know, um, little grass shacks getting blown over by supposedly a nuclear blast. Although, strangely, the camera doesn't get knocked over that's taking it, right? So, I don't know, there's that. Um, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, I mean, there's no proof of any type of nuke, right? Um, you know, like supposedly streetcars were running um, days after the bombing. Um, so that's used as fear for the general public. I mean, most anyone I talk to believes that they're real. So that that's kind of like a quote unquote sort of Damocles, right, above people, that in the front of their mind or the back of their mind, they think, well, it's possible for you know everyone to get wiped out by this supposed thing that's out there, that, again, like I said, is never there's never been a practical example of it anywhere, anytime in our history. So, when I was younger, going back to, I can't really say if it was maybe like high school, I suppose, maybe even earlier on some of these, but I can think of several things off the top of my head. We had that, for a while. I know we had the ozone depletion fear that all these aerosol sprays that were being used at the time for like um, you know, deodorant sprays or hairnet sprays or whatever people are using. They stopped making them because oh well, there's there's this hole that's forming in the ozone layer that protects um, everyone here from uh, deadly radiation, right? And oh my God, there's places on Earth that's going to be uninhabitable just because of radioactive bats. Um, because of depletion of ozone, right? Silly stuff like that. Um, we also had, I remember, acid rain. That was a big fear, right? Oh, we got all this um, pollution in the air, and that oh, there, oh, very there's examples of oh, there was this rainfall that was highly acidic in this one area. We tested it and this and that, and oh, over time there's going to be areas where it's going to be the world's going to be uninhabitable because when it rains, it's going to be like you know acid coming down on the sky, and if you go outside, you'll get burned all over, or the cars will be destroyed and everything, and obviously that never came to pass. Um, I remember there was a point. It was the big one for me is peak oil. Um, I remember being told this in school that I'm sure it was high school, but they're saying that by the year 2000, like, oh, there'll be no more oil, you know, um, on the earth for cars and everything, and for energy, and for everything, and it's so silly. Like I said, on the face of it, it's ridiculous because you know even before that time that the threat was there. I would have thought it would be like the movie The Road Warrior, right? I mean, where you're gonna have these places where people are refining, and you're gonna have these people that are out there just take whatever resource, right? Because guess what? Um, the fear is that it's finite, right? And that what do we use oil for today? Even to this day, I mean everything, right? I mean in terms of um, electrical, um, you know, a small percentage I would think is produced by wind turbines or solar energy, but the vast majority of it is all off of oil, that they use, or coal, um, for power plants. Um, all these electric cars, they're plugged in, they're plugged into the grid. Those, again, this is all derived from coal, oil. So but like I said, these threats that are now in the past, that I lived through, that were threats, direct threats, like to me, made by people in the media, you know, um, in the schools, to to put people, to put me, and then of course other people too, in a state of fear, and like I said, I go back to, I wonder if this thing that's running in the background is, it uses that fear as fuel, fear, and like and it's, I guess it's mostly fear, but most negative emotions do come out of fear. So I guess at the crux of it, fear is the is the big one. Um, and so, like I said, you look at things today, and people are looking back at these, old buildings, or there's people talking about, oh, a millennial reign of Christ has already happened, or all these things that people are investigating, and then people are looking at ways that we've been lied to by the official narratives. um, but I don't even have to look back to historical things that there's no way that we can confirm anyway. In terms of, like I said, these old buildings, we can't tell how old they are or how not old they are. I mean, we can tell they're not as old as what they say, yeah, but then it ends there, right? There's nothing that you live through that you could say, well, I was here in 1789 and that building was here, and then way later on they said that they made it in 1901. There's no one alive that can confirm that, but we can confirm the nonsense that we've been told over the last, you know, 40 plus years, easily. I mean, those of us that are old enough to remember these things, but I can tell you for sure, in my experience, these things, they were put out there as real. And I think for nothing else than to just keep people in a state of fear. And so I guess in the end of the day for me now is, if you're out there and you don't give this thing energy, don't feed it. Don't don't be fearful of these narratives. It's stupid. It's it's not real. And act accordingly. You know, don't fear these silly narratives. And like I said before, just enjoy your experiences here, and walk the path, and you know enjoy that journey that you're going through, because one of these days it's going to be over and you're not going to have it anymore. So learn what you can and hold on to your spiritual side, and that's it. So anyway, I guess I will check in later on, and that's it. Thanks.